Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Teachers, where we educate and you dominate. NFL season, I love it. It is still going strong because we got trades going down. Carson Wentz shipped out of Philadelphia, which means, yeah, it's Jalen Hurts time. We're going to talk all about what this means for the Eagles, their offense, and of course, their fantasy production. I'm Trevor Lane. You can follow me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane, joined by Ben Fisher and Kyle Olson. Guys, gotta love that there's still NFL trades going down, and I'm getting excited about Jalen Hurts, and I know a lot of other people out there are as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Lane? He brings that rushing ability that everybody's looking for right now in QBs. He obviously, he took the league by storm in his first, 3 games. He rushed over 100 yards against the Saints, who hadn't given up 100-yard rushers. So the excitement's high.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be exciting to kind of see how it goes and see where they go after this trade. I mean, I talked about the Colts end of it the other day, but I'm excited to kind of get into the Eagles side of it and kind of see where we're at with all that. So definitely excited.
Yeah, make sure you guys check out that video that KO did where he explained exactly what Wentz going to the Colts is going to mean for that offense. Make sure you guys check that out right here on the Fantasy Football Teachers YouTube channel. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe and make sure you turn on notifications. But today we're talking about the Eagles and especially Jalen Hurts. So I've already got people asking, I'm seeing this discussion going around a ton. Where are we drafting Jalen Hurts now? I mean, right now, everybody is looking for, like Fisher said, the running quarterbacks, the guys who can just get you those points by chewing up yardage on the ground. And Hurts can certainly do that. But is it going to be an overreaction where we think, oh, this is going to be a Lamar Jackson situation here, and he ends up falling short, which I think is fairly likely. Lamar Jackson's season a couple seasons ago, it's pretty tough to replicate. So just how good is Jalen Hurts? Are you excited to draft him next season? Are you staying away? Fisher, how do you make sense of this?
Yeah, I'm not staying away by any means, but I don't think the excitement's going to get, carried away out of the top 9 quarterbacks, right? Like I think he falls in that next tier, like that tier 3 of quarterbacks. He's not in like the Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert's jumping into that range. He's in the Tom Brady, Stafford, Ryan, Cousins range, right? Tannehill range. I'm going to lean over him over Stafford. R.I.P. bud. I'm going to lean over him over Ryan. Cousins, I'm going to take him over, although I think Cousins with Jefferson's a nice connection. And then you're really looking at, I think he's 10 or 11. Like if you think Tom Brady's going to have a big year again, he's obviously got a lot of weapons. You could see maybe Tom Brady, but Hurts just brings that rushing, and that's safety. And safety is nice at the quarterback position, even though they're all going to put up points at some point. That safety net is always fun to have.
It's a floor.
Yeah,
a high floor is what you're talking about.
Absolutely,
which is great.
Absolutely, yeah. That rushing, I don't think he's like gonna be like Lamar was. That was crazy a couple years ago. But I think that upside with the rushing, like you said, Ben, is there. I think it's exciting to, I think 10, 11 range, where you're saying that. I think that's right about where you put him. But I think he's got that QB 6 or 7 upside if the rushing, if the passing can catch up with the rushing. So if he can throw the ball a little bit better. If he can mix in that passing, the problem for him is obviously the Eagles' receiving core is a little bit suspect. The offensive line was really bad. Carson Wentz, when he was there, was sacked the most times in the NFL last year, 50 times. So, is he going to have time to throw the ball? Is he going to have time to make those decisions, to make those good passes? But then again, under pressure, he's going to be able to obviously scramble and run the ball better than Carson Wentz did. So I think you're definitely getting a lot of production out of him. I think it'll be interesting to see how he progresses in that offense and kind of do they bring in a receiver around him? Do they bring in a free agent? Do they draft a guy? Do they get better at that wide receiving core? Because if you give him, I'm not saying he's going to get a Justin Jefferson, but if you get him a solid rookie wide receiver to throw to, and that can step up and have a good rookie season close to what Jefferson did, now that makes it even more exciting because now you're giving him more weapons around him. So I think a lot of it with Hurts is going to depend on those weapons around him, but I really like the safe floor. Like you guys talked about, that rushing gives you that safe floor. So really exciting on Hurts. And Fisher, good job on snagging him in a couple Dynasty leagues. So nice work there.
Only one I missed
Oh,
out
okay.
on the
I
second one.
got
He
you.
was a
Okay,
target
okay.
though. He was a target in both of my drafts last year. I just missed out
Yeah,
on him. You
yeah.
were talking about the receivers that could come. I mean, you got the two guys out of Alabama, Smith and Waddle.
Hmm.
Obviously, I've seen some mocks with Smith dropping a little bit after his performance in the college football playoff. I don't see that happening. I mean, guy was just a straight stud. But you got the Chase guy out of LSU too, who's looking to fall in that Eagles to Lions range, and along with Rager bombs. I know Lane, speaking to your heart over here with Rager. And then you slot Goddard in there if Ertz is gone with Sanders. I mean, that's a fun
Yep.
offense. And with Hurts being a mobile quarterback, I mean, I could see somebody reaching for him, which is why I'll probably won't
Sure.
end up with Hurts in any season-long
Right.
leads, right? Like I generally wait till the end of the
Yeah.
draft, and somebody's gonna take a risk on him because of what he did at the last 3 games last year, even last 4, right? He offered those safe floors. People might tie him into Lamar Jackson, thinking he has like super high upside. There could be a 6 through 9 per draft position that he's taken. Sorry for the stutter there.
So if you're looking at him round 6 through 9, you're probably not taking him there. You're looking at him as more of a late round QB, which I'm there too. I think if it's round 8, if it's round 9, I'm going to start to get a little bit tempted, just because
Sure.
of the
Yeah. Sorry,
upside.
I was looking at actual like
Oh,
position
gotcha,
quarterbacks.
gotcha.
Like I think somebody's gonna reach and
And
take
take him
him for the
QB
6th
6
through
or 9.
9th
Got it.
quarterback
Sure.
over one of the Herberts, Wilson,
Mm.
Rodgers, Watson, depending on where he goes, types of quarterbacks. I don't think 1 through 4 is within range, but I think somebody's going to reach um, on him just because on Hurts because of what he did last year. We saw him run, we saw him put up points, and I think somebody's just going to reach somebody taking him over Herbert because Herbert's less mobile, so they want that running upside.
Which I get, but I'm not doing that. I'm not taking him over Herbert at this point. I mean, Herbert was tremendous last
We're
season.
not doing
No,
it.
yeah, we wouldn't,
That's why
but
we're here
somebody will, and
talking. But I
that's why
think
you're
somebody's
saying
going to, which is why I'm
you're
never
not going
going
to
to
get
end up
him.
with Hurts.
So, but let's put this in a different context here. Dynasty. Okay, we know we're looking late round in redraft, but in Dynasty, okay, he's already on rosters. What is, and we're talking single QB here, not super flex, because that would change a lot. But what is
Right.
the highest level draft pick you would be willing to trade in order to bring Jalen Hurts, assuming that your team needs a quarterback? Where are you guys at with that? KO, let me get your take.
Oh man, like a straight up. If I was gonna trade straight
Straight
up a
up.
draft pick for Hurts, okay. You got me on the spot here. Let me think. I mean, it depends on where you fall in your draft, and it obviously depends on what your roster looks like. But I think you look at where quarterbacks go. You look at guys. I'm trying to think back through some of my dynasty drafts. You look at a guy like Deshaun Watson went second round.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that many quarterbacks go first round. Usually it's end of the first round. I mean, personally, I would trade a second rounder for him for sure. I'd probably be comfortable trading like an early second rounder for him. I don't think I'm trading a first, maybe late first round, but again, a lot of that's going to depend on the makeup of my team. If I've got a deep team, if I've already got a pretty deep team at the skill positions, running back, receiver, and I need a quarterback a little bit, sure, I could trade a first round pick for him late first round, I think. But usually, you want to use those picks in dynasty draft on a receiver, on a quarterback. If you have a first round pick, I'm sorry, not on a quarterback, on a receiver, on a running back, not on a quarterback. You want to save, usually you see those top level quarterbacks go in the second round, third round. So I would say like without thinking of all the factors, I would say like early second is the best I would give for him, unless I was in a really good situation where I could really afford to give up a first. But, um,
I think he's just a hold. Like unless you just get
yeah,
blown away
Yeah.
and it's like a top 4 pick in a dynasty, there's no reason. Like I took him, second to third last round in
right.
drafts last year. Rookie drafts. He's in the third, fourth round. Um, why are like you took him for this reason?
No,
So
absolutely.
unless somebody just like blows your socks off,
Right.
Yeah.
you're holding. I mean, like if somebody's offering me a second round, like I'm not taking him. If somebody's offering me a late first, I'm probably not taking it. If somebody's offering me a top 4 pick, okay, sure. Let's go. And that's with almost any quarterback besides like Mahomes, Josh Allen, right? So, KO, you talked about, quarterbacks in the first round. I think 2 years ago I took over a team in our dynasty draft, and he really was quarterback. Didn't have one, so I took Kyler Murray, I think, with the 8th pick, and I mean that's obviously turned out fine for me. But I took it because of those running upsides. So I mean, let's just look at the quarterbacks this year that you can get, right, like Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. Like, are you
without knowing the landing spots? Where do you rank Hurts? Would you rank him? I mean, obviously the landing spots for all those guys matter. Would you rather have Hurts?
Well, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is, right?
Yeah, we know he's going to Jacksonville. So which one would you rather have between those two?
Dynasty wise? Yeah. With what I saw, I'll take Hurts. Just give me that running. Give me the possibility of that upside. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, hey, maybe he's the next Aaron Rodgers. He's amazing, but he's a pocket passer from, I mean, he's mobile, like he can move, but I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take Hurts over all of them. Maybe Justin Fields, depending on landing spot, would be like a risk that I'd be willing to take, but I'm holding on to Hurts over them because I know what Hurts possibly can give me. The other ones are unknown.
Yeah, if I have Hurts, and I might have misunderstood the question, but yeah, if I have Hurts, I'm gonna keep him, like you said, unless I get a pretty good offer. Like I guess for me, it's a little bit opposite if I have him or if I'm trading for him. I know that doesn't maybe make a lot of sense, but if I've got him and I've got that potential, I'm probably gonna wait because if he continues to get better, now he's gonna be worth even more. So I agree with holding him, and the reason I wouldn't trade for too much for him, other than like an early second, is because I think that, even in a dynasty league, quarterback is a position where most teams, if you're in a 12-team league, you got 2 or 3 starting quarterbacks on your roster. And the difference of the quarterbacks usually isn't huge unless you got one of the top couple guys. And I just think it's more important to make sure you have enough starters at running back and receiver, because we see in our dynasty leagues, there's teams that can't even field a full lineup of running backs and receivers some weeks, but they might have like 3 or 4 quarterbacks. Well, you only get to play one quarterback. So that's why, to me, that's maybe just my personal thing, but receiver and running back, to me, especially in dynasty, and loading up as much as you can those positions, to me is a little bit more important than getting that guy that could be like a low end QB1, right? Like,
and you're not wrong, KO. Like, I mean, like I said, like I took him extremely low in rookie drafts. I took him extremely late in our new dynasty draft that we did, right? But here's the thing, like buy low, sell high, right?
Yep.
Like this could be his highest point.
Right.
He has a new coach. Yep. He's going to be learning a new offense, hypothetically, right? So what if defenses just catch up? Like what if they learn how to guard him and he's not what we saw?
Right.
And what if he is that true second round pick where he was drafted, right? Like you got to think Kyler Murray bumped him out of Oklahoma, right? I'm correct there, right? He had to transfer, or somebody out of Alabama. He got bumped.
Oh yeah,
by Tua. By Tua, and he had to go to Oklahoma.
And look at what Tua did this season. Not great.
And I'm not saying Hurts wasn't good at Oklahoma. No. Like he performed well in Bama and he performed well in Oklahoma, but there's a reason why he was a second round pick. As a quarterback, the most important position in the NFL, he was a second round pick, which is a high draft pick. But if he was a quote unquote stud, he would have been in the first round. So we could have just saw everything that he's going to give last year. Like he could fail. I mean,
that's possible.
Lamar Jackson didn't have a great season this year.
This is why I love dynasty leagues. This is why I love dynasty because you're right. Like that is the that's why all of us are texting our friends, right? Like, hey, what would you give up for this guy, or would you trade? Would you give up this guy for this pick? What would you do, right? Because you want to think about, you want to get some other people's opinion, right? But in dynasty leagues, that's the funnest part. It's fun and it's a nightmare too. But you're trying to think: is this guy going to get better? Do I hold him because he's going to get better and now he's going to be worth more? Do I ship him away now if I'm a little bit deeper there at maybe this high point? So that's one of the funnest things about trade, and I'm glad you went to this topic, is trades in fantasy, because you're trying to sell at the highest point if you're going to sell, right? But am I selling too early? Is he going to get better? Right. So Hurts, yeah, dude. I mean, he could get a lot better. I mean, I think you never know. I mean, he could get to a top 5, 6 quarterback. I think maybe that's his ceiling. I'm not saying he's going to get there, but he could also drop off the map and not be very good, right? You're right.
Yeah.
He could have already played his best games. He could come out next year and be not that great. Teams could catch up, like happens in the NFL, right? NFL teams figure stuff out. They figure out. I'm not saying gimmick. He's a gimmick. They figure out those different styles of player. Look how far, like we said, Lamar dropped off. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Just like with Wentz over with the Colts, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Hurts next year. And what does he take that step, or does he just kind of start to drop
And
off?
we don't really know exactly
Okay,
what his
so-
receiving core is going to look like just yet. That's still kind of, it's out there. We don't know exactly what that's going to turn out to be. So it's hard to project that. We've talked a little bit about Hurts himself. The only other piece that we know, well, Dallas Goedert, but I guess he's kind of part of that receiving group, really. I think it does look like Zach Ertz is on his way out the door and certainly being banished to the bench for the time being on my fantasy team, on my dynasty team, unless he can somehow land with the Colts. Please do that, Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
That would help me out.
Yeah,
Please
hey,
do that.
that'll
Go follow
happen.
Carson Wentz.
So they run. What are they going to run? 4 tight end sets
Why
now?
not? At this point, go ahead. Let's
see.
get crazy.
They got a couple guys. A couple of them are free agents. They can go somewhere
Yeah.
else. Ali Cox and Burton can go somewhere
That's
else.
right. They can go somewhere
They
else.
can have Ertz and they can. They'll be okay.
But let's talk a little Miles Sanders before we wrap this up here. So Miles Sanders, I mean, look, people drafted him last season to be the guy. Kind of hit and miss, a little bit of a bumpy ride last season. What are we thinking about Miles Sanders and what Jalen Hurts, presumably being the starting quarterback? I mean, I guess they could draft somebody. The Eagles could, but assuming that he's their starting QB next year, what does this mean for Miles Sanders?
Well, I
So I
think
think, like that the
Go ahead,
drafting thing's kind of funny, and I won't touch it this much, but I mean, people are probably going to sit there and say, like, that's stupid. Why would they do that? But I mean, you got to think, like, your window to win in the NFL is generally around a rookie quarterback contract because you're not paying him much. So you have 2 rookie QB contracts. It's not that big of a deal. And then really you can just let them fight. Hurts has the starting position week 1, but if he flounders, then who knows? But anyways, so back to Sanders. His targets, like, week 15, he had 2 targets against Arizona, but after that, I mean, 5 targets against the Saints, 6 against Dallas, and that's really why you drafted Sanders. Is he's one of the workhorse running backs, right? Like, you wanted him, he was going to get the goal line touches, he was going to get runs, and he was going to get some targets as well. I don't think that's really dropping off with Hurts, so I don't think it's not like he takes a big uptick with Hurts, but it doesn't hurt him much. We were talking pre-show about, Hurts around the goal line, and I think that's obviously something to be cautious of. But if you want to be cautious of that, I don't think you should be, per se. Like, I don't think you're dropping him a lot. You might be moving him down 1 or 2 spots. But you're not dropping him a whole tier. You're just moving somebody in that tier above him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, he may lose a little bit at the goal line, like you said. He may lose, and we talked about before, like you said, as far as all their rushing touchdowns, he might lose. His percentage of those is going to go down a little bit. But we talked about their offense was really bad last year, so it's got to get a little bit better. I mean, their O-line has to get better. But if they're scoring a little bit, a few more points per game, then maybe he's still getting close to the same amount of touchdowns anyway, even though Hurts is taking away some of those goal line carries. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, if he's getting the targets there and if he's getting the ball a lot and if he's that workhorse back, then, you're right. He's not dropping much at all. You know what I mean? Like, the talent level.
We can expect, 12 to 15 rushing touchdowns and 4 to 4 minimum targets a game?
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
And obviously there's going to be games where he way overexceeds that and he goes under those, but I think that's a relatively, decent projection for him in that range, looking at what he did last year.
Sure.
So it's just the touchdowns, and that's for every running back, right? Or for every player in the NFL.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where, Hurts driving the ball down the field, using his legs to chew up yards. That can certainly actually help Miles Sanders if they get more scoring opportunities because of it. So I don't think it changes his value a ton. I think he's still an interesting guy. So we'll finish with this. Miles Sanders or Josh Jacobs? Who Who are you going with here? Does Jalen Hurts factor into that type of, because I know those guys are close. Does Jalen Hurts factor into that decision at all?
I don't. I think, like
I
we
think they're in the
said,
same tier, so I don't think it matters. Like if you favor Jacobs or Sanders, like I don't think you're in the wrong. Like nobody should tell you like you did something wrong. Now you're asking my opinion.
Just for fun.
I mean, you can say you're wrong because that's just what's fun about fantasy football, right? If you're in that tier, I'm probably leaning Cam Akers myself.
Well, yeah.
But
just throw us a curveball, Fisher. Just go off the.
Come on, Fisher. I'm telling you, you have to pick one of those two. Josh Jacobs or mine. I didn't say anything about Cam Akers.
Come on, now you're going.
No.
Come on, Lions boy. Let's go. Get back on the question. Let's go.
I'm going to go with Miles Sanders just because of the targets that he receives.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
I would
simple there.
Yeah, I would. No, and by the way, I also agree with you on those other guys. Just giving you a hard time, but no, I would go with Sanders too. I think it's exciting to see with Hurts coming in there and see that how much better that offense can get. So yeah, those guys are really close. But I mean, I like the upside of Sanders in that offense with the touches he's getting, like you said. I'm excited to see how he can be next year and how that whole offense can do. Yep. How about you, Trevor? Which one?
Yeah, I'm kind of partial to Josh Jacobs just because I really like his game. I like what he can do, but we expected last season for the targets to go up. It just didn't quite happen. We thought, okay, this is it. He's going to start getting target. Oh, no, wait, he's not. So it didn't work out quite like we expected. So with that being the case, yeah, I think you've got to give more credit to the pass catcher from the running back position. You know how quickly that can rack up fantasy points. So I would also go with Miles Sanders. But
does Sanders' injury history concern you?
I feel like at the running back position, injuries are just so much a part of the game, and it's so hard to predict that it's a factor, but I don't know how much of a factor it should be. I mean, these guys are hurling themselves in to some of the biggest, strongest human beings on the planet. Like injuries are just inherently going to happen, and trying to predict those, it's a fool's errand.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just something you got to expect, like you said, and you just hope they can stay healthy. But you know that there's going to be those couple running backs are going to get hurt every year. It's just going to happen because of the nature of the beast, nature of the position. But yeah, I think I don't factor in too much either. I mean, if he was coming off this, like he was just if he just tore his ACL at the end of the season, of course that's a difference, right? But injury history, not unless it's like just happened. To me, it's not as big of a thing. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to stop here. Exciting stuff, of course. I hope next time we get to talk about where Deshaun Watson's new home is. Maybe he'll be on the move shortly. But yeah, look, we've seen a lot of moves already in the NFL. We've got Carson Wentz now taking over with the Colts. Now we've got Jalen Hurts time with the Eagles. Should be interesting. Should be a top 12 pick. The very least, could be a guy to make a difference on your fantasy rosters next season. Guys, thanks so much, and we're going to do this again soon.
Have a good night, everybody. Good to be with you guys again.
Don't forget, make sure you subscribe to the Fantasy Football Teachers YouTube channel. See ya.